counterbalance. You gotta be leaning forward, pitch forward, and then push up, not back. That's better. And the result is better. That was better, just gotta hold it all the way to the contact, but it was way better, obviously, the result. Push forward, around the knee, yep, and so it's gonna get away. Okay, it's not bad. We're starting good. We're just losing connection in our feet. You have to keep pushing into the metatarsals. We need to continually push plantar flexion. We need to continue plantar flexion as you push, but you're pushing it away towards your heels as you go up. And that is why you can't cover it and you lose the counterbalance right around mid-thigh. The better ones, like, you lose it a little bit later, but the ones that are bad, you lose it way sooner, right? And I can already see midway through the lift that you're gonna have to compensate. But we're finding better start position. That too, that just didn't carry long enough. When you get there long enough, you gotta hold your knees wider and stay leaning forward and push up like that all the way. And got around again. Better. Still lost a little connection. You were like in between your anterior and posterior connection. Yeah, same thing. So in the start, it's good. The start is great. Where you lose it is past the knee, sometimes a little bit earlier. The good ones a little bit later. So you understand that trend, right? It's all about maintaining that balanced structure through that dynamic movement all the way into the point of contact. And you will feel, as you get higher, closer to your hip, you'll feel more tension, especially laterally, right? In the glute. The sides of your glutes, you'll feel it getting more tense because we need that sort of base. That's why when we drive up, I'm telling you, knees get wider, get wider, get wider. They're not actually getting wider though. They're gonna get skinnier as you go up because we're standing up. As we stand up, the legs and knees start to straighten out, but we're trying to fight that. Okay, that's another form of counteraction, right? So there's a lot of counteraction going on. That's one of them. As we start low with the wide base, we need to continually push out as we go up. But all at the same time, the important thing is you have to keep strong connection in your feet. If you start to roll back on your heel, then your whole structure will start to move back. So that's why I'm stressing the feet so much. If you lose the chain in the feet, your whole body's gonna go back with it. Okay, so a lot of that's also strength. We need to acquire that strength. We need to build that muscular endurance in those muscles. When you're doing it with the very, very lightweight, you're capable of holding those positions better and maintaining positions longer. But as soon as we load a little bit more weight, we start to compensate. And that's totally normal, okay? It's totally normal. But we have to understand when we're compensating, and we have to be able to feel when we're compensating. And then we should be able to make that adjustment, okay? But that's also why I'm here, to help you identify that. But so far, the start is great. And that's where it starts, from the ground up. Now we just need to get better at maintaining that. And that's why I've been giving you all those exercises to strengthen those positions. But again, first is understanding. I know you're starting to understand that, those positions and counterbalance and finding posterior connection, all those things. That's where it starts. So we're on the right path. We just need to keep getting stronger up the chain, all the way to the glute, and then all the way up to your shoulders and your neck, right? From end to end, we need strong connection. And so we have a good understanding of what we can work on next week. We're gonna do a lot of just deadlift and stop to the hip, especially from above the knee to the hip, that position specifically, because from floor to knee, it's looking a lot better. All right. So let's see the jerk in real time. Right. Yeah, it's not bad. Like I said, there's a little compensation, and Not too much, but it's mainly because it's light enough for you. So if the weights get heavier, that compensation is going to be more, right? So we do need to fix this position still. Essentially, you dip and you go forward. So since you go forward in the dip, you're going to catch. You're going to have to chase it forward a little bit. And so that means you're going to have too much weight on your front foot. And so it's not a strong balanced position. For this weight, no problem. But with 90% and up, we're going to have problems, right? So look at what's going on here. We need that strong connection in the torso. Obviously, the back is already a little bit arched. And so when you dip, you arch more. And as you arch, what happens is your hips start to go backwards this way. See how it started here? And then as you dip, it goes behind you more. And your back arches more. So when the hips go back like that, it's gonna throw your shoulders forward, or at least it's gonna want to throw your shoulders forward. But what you do is the hips go back, the shoulders should be going forward, but it doesn't really. It kind of just stays there. You shift forward a little, but you're still staying there. You're trying to fight it from falling forward, and what you're doing is you're arching your back even more, right? Because hips go back, that's gonna want to send your top side forward, but you're fighting it by arching your back more to hold it there. And so all that energy is just going to throw your hips now forward right there. It's very subtle, you can't see, but right here, boom, it kind of like wants to throw you back into the chain. But it's hard to find that, right? It's disconnected. So it's going to go out of the chain, in the chain. It's in and out of the chain. It's never finding the balance because you're not starting with it. So I don't know if you understand that. It's kind of hard to explain it like this, but because the hips go back, shoulders drop, but they don't drop. They want to drop. You're fighting it from dropping. And because you're fighting it from dropping, all that momentum is going to want to throw your hips kind of forward. So you're kind of fighting that too. So you're doing a lot of fighting just to stay in the balance. And it's because we're not starting with strong connection, strong counterbalance position. And so because it's forward, look at your knees, how forward it goes because of that. And so you're completely off your posterior chain now. All right, it's like all anterior loaded, and there's just no balance there. So when we have a strong structure here, we should be able to stay back more, and as you dip, you're going to be able to feel your knees go wider. So as we get compression, okay, because we need compression here in order to produce power, right? We need to dip. We need to get those knees and hips involved, right? Knees, ankles, knees, and hips, triple extension. All right, but because you don't have a strong structure here, and as you dip, you get compression vertically only. See, that's vertical compression. A little bit of lateral compression, but not nearly enough. There's way more vertical compression than lateral. But what I mean by lateral compression is wide, getting wide. So when you compress, we can go down or up, right? Vertical means down or up. In this case, we're going down, but we can also go out as we go down. And that's what we need. It's like pushing down on us like a soft ball, right? If you push down on a soft ball with your palm, not only does that ball just go, compress vertically just straight down, it's going to start to protrude out to the sides. And that's how it's keeping it a tensile structure while under compression, okay? So there's a lot of tension and compression going on, but it's all within balance. And that's what we're trying to find here, because you don't find a solid tensile gravity structure. You're in balance, and then you compensate. You have to compensate. That means you're using other muscles in your body to make up for the imbalance, okay, that you have. So that's something we will work on. Like I said, the exercise I've been giving you, and just essentially just doing more dip and drive practice, but with more time under tension. All right, clean and jerk video. Start looking good. Ooh, that's good. Good power clean. Yeah. All right, that was pretty solid. So from here, we just need to find a little bit more glute connection. Your knees, your femur is just kind of pushing out just away a little bit. So I would like you to just pull that back just a little bit, but without losing the connection in your feet. We still have to be pushing plantar flexion while we're counteracting with that dorsiflexion, obviously, because we have compression and depth. So other than that, start is good. And that's why the result is good. You're able to make contact, produce power, and stay in balance for the most part. The stance looks pretty good until you take a breath, and then you start to see how you're actually connected. And there's a little bit too much arch in the lower back there. We need more posterior pelvic tilt. That way you can have those hips underneath in line with your shoulders more. So we need a stronger trunk, basically, right? How do we find posterior pelvic tilt? You gotta understand how the pelvis rotates, and we've already explained that. But once you find that tilt, then you gotta actually engage that with your muscles, creating tension with your low ab, right? And then your glute. So they have to be pushing in towards your body. So they're pushing in towards each other. When you flex the ab, it should be pressing in. Like when you flex, you shouldn't be blowing out, which you're not. You're just tucking your hips back a little bit as you take your air, and then you get caught in the lower back. So stomach in and flex, but then squeeze your butt through towards where your stomach is. And that's the counteraction. That's what we're trying to find. Then you'll find a good stable position as you dip, drive, and catch in the split. Just remember, you have to maintain that squeeze as you dip, as you drive, and into the split. You have to keep that structure positioned like that, stacked underneath your shoulders, okay? So if you can imagine like all your ribs, right? They're just all stacked on top of each other. But when you take your big air like that, you curve your back and you see your ribs kind of separating and your diaphragm opening up a little bit too much. We do want to open that up, but we want to also be engaging that at the same time. That's another counteraction, right? Because they're pulling in towards each other while I'm stretching up. They're pulling out at the same time. So they're flexed and I'm stretching up. It should be the feel on my anterior side of where my torso is, okay? So we're just trying to find a stacked position here. Counterbalance is pretty hard to find in the jerk because there's not much space we can create to create counterbalance, right? Because in the bottom of the snatch and clean, in the start position, we can create distance with our hips and shoulders more to have more room to play around with to find that. But here you're kind of like in a trapdoor phone booth, right? That's why people say that all the time. Imagine like you're in a trapdoor phone booth. But that cue only goes so far, right? It tells you where you should be and where you shouldn't be in terms of that little space, right, we've provided. But it doesn't necessarily tell you how to actually do it, right? It doesn't actually tell you how to perform it or engage your muscles correctly to be able to acquire that strong structure in the dip, drive, and catch in the split. So those are some of the things we'll work on those. I've given you exercise and some exercises on that. Like, for example, when you're laying on the floor, the lying knee tucks. That's a good example of strong core connection with your low back. Also, the Palloff press. All those things, we do those for this reason here in the dip and drive. Also, I mean, even in the start and the clean and the snatch, we're trying to acquire that position. Obviously, we're going to be in more of a hinge position, but it's the same feel. So like when I go set up for the snatch and clean, I'm finding that posterior pelvic tilt feel like that. And then I'll start letting my levers kind of hinge together.